Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. You are hopefully in the right place. This is our introductory webinar for our monitoring of small LEAs or local education agencies. We're going to be walking through the process and that we're excited to sort of put forth for you. I do want to do a couple of housekeeping things. First of all, we are not able to unmute you. So if you raise your hand, we cannot unmute you. We ask that folks use the chat, and that is that button just below your screen, or not the chat. Do not use the chat. Use the Q&A, and that is that button Q&A. Please do not use the chat. Chat is very difficult to control in terms of all the questions start coming up very quickly and it's hard to go back. So we are using the Q&A and not the chat for this purpose. The second most common question that we get is, are you going to provide us copies of these slides? And yes, all of our registered participants today will receive a copy of the presentation that you will see. And the second most common question we're going to get is, are you recording this? Can we see it later? Yes, we are recording this presentation and you will be able to use it later. So those are some housekeeping issues. I think that will make it a little bit easier. Again, just a reminder, use the Q&A and not the chat. We will not be monitoring the chat at this time. So next slide, please. So for those of you who do not know me, my name is Shiloh Duncan Besriel. I am the Associate Director for Special Education here at the California Department of Education. And in a past life, many of you may know me, I was in charge of a program called CaseMIS, which was our special education data system. And I was also part of CalPADS. So I was not the most liked person sometimes when data would happen, but always here to help you all when you're getting the data pieces put together. And now in this role, I am also still over data, but I am also over all of the special education monitoring, including the monitoring of small LEAs. And I'm really excited to bring you this new system of monitoring that we have for our small LEAs. And as you may know, part of our monitoring would include small LEAs at some points, but we used a selection methodology for small LEAs that included analysis of data. And as many of you know, in a small LEA, sometimes that feels unfair because you can have one or two students and that accounts for so much of the percentages of your outcome data. And so we realized that there was a need to do something different with small LEAs. And so we created a unit, and these are these wonderful professionals that you're going to meet today that we're very excited to introduce to you, who are going to walk you through a process that we're going to use to collect information about how students in your LEA are doing and identify any small LEA who needs additional support. One of the things we've also done is worked very closely with our SELPAs to help design this process and make this process responsive to your needs. And we've also worked to align with our larger accountability system. And that includes all small LEAs, also all of our charter LEAs. So all of our charter LEAs, even those who are typically schools of a district, but have been receiving a dashboard and have been required to do an LCAP, are also part of this process, because we wanted to make the process feel the same for everyone. And we wanted to align it to our larger system. So you will see that is a little bit of something that we're trying to make easier for you all. I do want to let you know that this is a new process for us. So we are excited to hear from you all on any feedback that you have to make it better. We also ask for a little bit of grace as we move through this process. We might at times try and tinker with things and make them better for you, but we also want to be responsive to your needs, and we want to provide the maximum amount of flexibility. So if there's something that is challenging to you, we encourage you all to bring it to us so that we can work with you all to find a solution that's going to meet your needs and meet our needs and our monitoring requirements. So I'm excited to introduce this team to you all, and we will continue to answer your questions. We may not be able to get to all of your questions. We did learn that in our Wednesday webinar. We got so many questions, we just couldn't get to all of them. And some of them are kind of complicated. You all were asking really good questions. And so we want to be able to be responsive to you. And so these questions that you're asking will be the basis for an FAQ in the future. So please stay tuned for that. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to the administrator of our monitoring unit for small LEAs, Carmen Barnhart, and she's going to start walking through the process and start introducing you to this fabulous team of professionals that we have here to help you through this process. Thank you so much. Please reach out to them with your questions, and we are always here to try and help problem solve with you. So with that, I'll turn it over to Carmen.
Thank you, Shiloh. Good morning, and thank you for being here today. My name is Carmen Barnhart, and I'm the administrator of the Focused Monitoring and Technical Assistance Unit for Small LEAs, or as we're called around here, FMTA-S. I was a principal superintendent at a small rural single school district. We also were a charter. So I know very well how busy you all are at your sites right now. The CDE created this new unit to be responsive to small LEAs and our unique needs. I want to stress to you today that we are all new to this, and we look forward to working with you as we continue development of the special education cyclical monitoring for small LEAs. As we go through this overview, there are a few things we'd like you to keep in mind. This is new. The system, the monitoring of smalls, this unit, and even some of you in your positions this year. We'll all be learning together. There will be lots of information contained in this webinar, so we will be recording it and we'll archive it on our website for future access. We will also send all registrants a copy of this PowerPoint for your reference. And as Shiloh indicated, if you have questions about the webinar or smalls monitoring in general today, please be sure to place them in the Q&A, not the chat, so we can be sure to see them. However, if it is a question specific to your LEA, we ask that you contact the consultant assigned to your LEA. You will receive information on who your assigned consultant is today, as well as direction to our smalls monitoring website, which we will place in the Q&A for you to access and bookmark for further communication. Today will be an introduction to small LEA monitoring activities and the FMTA-S staff. More specific information related to each activity will be available soon, so please continue to reference the website for consultant contact, registration, for Zoom office hours, and additional monitoring information and updates. Additionally, all selected LEAs will be receiving additional communication related to resource and submission tools. Before I hand off to our consultant team, I want to let you know that we have made a significant change based on feedback from the field to the student record review activity platform. 2022 Cycle A LEAs will not begin or conduct this activity until after December of 2022, when we will do it as a spring 2023 monitoring activity. What does this mean? This means the educational benefit review and the policy and procedure review activities will be the only activities you will be conducting in your self-review at this time. Are the only two activities due December 5th, 2022. This is a change to information contained in your notification letter. We will start to coordinate with you on Stepwell access and student record review after your December 5th EBR and PPR submissions. Just a quick reminder to please place your questions in the Q&A. We won't have time to answer them all here, but we'll collect them for follow-up and assembly of an FAQ resource that will be posted on our website. Now, let me introduce you to your support team. For regions 1, 8, and region 11 with LEAs named A through F, we have Patricia Aston.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to see you, or not see you, but for you to be here today.
For regions 9, 10, and 11 with LEAs beginning with the letters between G and Z, we have Emily Ingram.
Hi, everyone.
For regions 2, 3, and 4, we have Carissa Lagoska.
Good morning.
And for regions 5, 6, and 7, we have Christina Tony.
Hello, everyone.
That is our team, and I will hand it over to them to begin the introduction of activities. Thank you very much.
Hi, welcome. I'm Carissa Lagaska. I will be working with Regions 2, 3, and 4. We're happy you're here today. There was already a lot of information presented to you just this morning, so we really want to give you all the information you need. We know it's probably too much at once. Today is just a general overview, but as it's been said, please know that more specific and detailed information will be forthcoming. So in today's general overview, our objectives are to define a small LEA, to provide an overview of the cyclical monitoring self-review for small LEAs, to understand how LEAs were selected for monitoring, and of course, to identify the activities, the training, and all the tools needed for the monitoring process. So what is the purpose of monitoring small LEAs? So as always, the purpose of CDE's monitoring framework, or the majority of the state's obligations to monitor, arise from 20 U.S. Code Section 1416 and 34 Code of Federal Regulations, Section 300.600. So CDE's monitoring framework is designed to address fundamental systemic concerns within LEAs, to support LEA's improvement in meeting the program requirements under the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA Part B, and to improve educational results and functional outcomes for students with disabilities. Now, further purpose for monitoring small LEAs includes ensuring the CDE's monitoring process is equitable for all students with disabilities, to provide information to the CDE regarding key compliance questions, particular to free appropriate public education in the least restrictive environment, regardless of student population size. So you'll see in all of the monitoring, FAPE in the LRE is really our primary focus. Additional purpose is to provide effective general supervision and support to small LEAs, and to determine individualized continuous improvement activities for small LEAs. Now, what designates a small LEA? Maybe a new term you haven't heard quite before used so much, and who is subject for review this school year? So to define a small LEA for our monitoring purposes, we're defining schools or districts, school districts or charter schools which are serving 100 or fewer students with disabilities as small LEAs. And currently there are approximately 1,500 small LEAs in California. Now, our small LEA selection methodology may be a bit different than you know from your larger LEA counterparts. So due to your small N size, the small LEAs are not monitored based on the APR or the annual performance report data. So instead, the small LEAs were randomly selected into 3 monitoring cycles, A, B, and C. And that means each cycle has about 500 small LEAs in it. And here we are in 2022 in your lucky cycle A. So thank you. We appreciate you being our first cycle to work with in this process. And as you can see, over the next 2 school years, cycle B and C will also have their turn. LEAs will participate in a self-review once every 3 years. So now we know why we're here. We appreciate you being here. We are just, here to support you and willing to help you through this process. Today, again, is a general overview, and the rest of the team will start to explain some of the details of what we'll be doing. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Patricia Afton, and I am the FMTA consultant for Regions 1, 8, and 11, A through F. Thank you for being here today, and we know you're very busy. I've been on our school site. You have lots to do, and we don't want to take too much of your time. So the questions we're sure you're asking are, what will the process look like? What are the monitoring activities that selected LEAs will be expected to complete. And so that's part of what I'll be covering today. So the cyclical monitoring self-review process, there are actually 3 activities that we will ask you to conduct independently with the support of the CBE, and this is called a self-review. The monitoring activities are policy and procedure review. We refer to that as PPR because we always have to have acronyms. Educational benefit review, or EBR, and student record review, which is SRR. There will be training opportunities such as this to support LEAs in completing the monitoring activities. They'll be available through live webinars, and this webinar will be posted to our website, video archives, and all of this will be posted on the Cyclical Monitoring for Small LEAs website. Forms and guidance for submission to the CBE will be sent electronically, as well as will be accessible to whomever you put on our electronic communication for the primary contact. That person will have access to box.com, which will also have all of the materials and tools that you'll need. So our first activity is policy and procedure review. And this comes out of California Education Code, section 56195.8, which requires each LEA providing special education to adopt policies for the programs and services it operates, consistent with agreements with other districts or county offices and/or agreements stated as part of the local plan for special education. In the PPR, LEAs will review current policies and procedures related to special education using a set of policy and procedure review compliance standards. And those compliance standards will be accessible, as I said, through box.com and our website. LEAs must identify the location of each policy and or procedure that corresponds to each item in the compliance test. Some counties and SELPAs have countywide or SELPA-wide policies and procedures that are adopted by all LEAs within the county or SELPA. So if an LEA has adopted the SELPA policies and procedures, these will be reviewed as part of the PPR. LEAs must then be able to demonstrate the adoption of all policies and procedures. Our next activity, which is as a former special educator and director of special education, is actually one of my favorite, because I think that it creates that collaboration of a team and also helps you identify some strengths and needs within your process. Educational benefit review assesses the effectiveness of an IEP to provide a student with meaningful opportunities to benefit from special education and related services for appropriate academic functional advancement and to enable the child to make progress. That would be equivalent with the opportunities to other children. And that is stated in U.S. Department of Education 2017. The CBE will provide LEAs with a list of no more than 10 student records to review, depending on the number of students with disabilities enrolled. So if you have 5 students enrolled, then those 5 students will be who we're looking at if they meet the criteria. The period of review for each student selected will begin with a triennial year and end with the most current IEP. That's the ideal situation. LEAs will verify enrollment, student information, and provide documentation if a file is not available or otherwise unable to be reviewed, such as if a student does not meet the criteria or if a student has disenrolled, we will need evidence of that. LEAs will review student records to assess individual students' educational benefit over a 3-year period and answer 4 key compliance questions regarding the educational benefit of each student. And again, those guides will be accessible for you on the website and through box.com. Educational benefit. So the LEA may choose who reviews the files, but it is highly recommended that a small team, if possible, of experienced special education staff, administrators, school psychologists, maybe you have a speech therapist or a general education teacher who has some familiarity to participate in the EBR review. Familiarity with the IEP process and how to read assessment reports will be necessary for a successful review. Now I'm going to pass you along to my wonderful colleague, Christina Tony. Thank you for being here today.
Okay, thank you, Patricia. So let's talk about during the student record review. So during this time, the CDE will provide LEAs with a list of no more than 25 student records to review. This is depending upon the number of students with disabilities enrolled in your program. As an LEA, you will be responsible for verifying enrollment, student information, and provide documentation if a file is not available or unable to be reviewed, and to review the most current individualized education program for the student record selected. The Student Record Review, SRR, will be conducted through an online platform called Stepwell. Instructions for assessing Stepwell will be sent electronically to an LEA and selected for the self-review. LEAs will investigate a series of compliance standards that are categorized by theme, such as procedures, assessment procedures. For each student file that is reviewed, the LEA must identify whether each compliant test is compliant, non-compliant, or not applicable. Be sure to check our website for updates. Here are some training opportunities to prepare you for the review. We will have webinars and training videos available for the Policy and Procedure Review, PPR, the Education Benefit Review, EBR, and Student Record Review, SRR. As mentioned in a previous slide, the Student Record Review will be an early spring activity that will be completed in 2023. The FMTA consultants are available every Friday from October 7th through December 2nd, 2022, from 12 to 1 to answer questions and provide technical assistance for the review activities. You could register on our Cyclical Monitoring for Small LEAs webpage. So you're thinking, how will my LEA be expected to complete the self-review? Protocols and guidance, documents, and additional resources for each activity will be available on box.com for download. Box.com login information will be sent electronically to your LEA. LEAs will submit completed protocols via box.com. Additional submission guidelines for the PPR and EBR will be discussed in future webinars. We will be reaching out to your LEA via email to designate a primary contact for your LEA to serve as a point person for the monitoring process. The primary contact will be designated as the Box.com account holder for assessing resources and uploading required PPR and EBR documents. In order to support LEAs in navigating the Stepwell platform, LEAs will be invited to participate in a webinar detailing the steps to access and use the platform. This webinar will be recorded and uploaded to the Cyclical Monitoring for Small LEA website as continued support for navigation and use. As a reminder, once again, the SRR and Stepwell platform will be available in early 2023. Let's talk about spot checks. The CDE will conduct randomized spot checks of files for each selected small LEA to ensure consistency. Spot checks will be limited to the records reported on by the LEA. I will now pass it to Emily, and she will be talking about corrective action.
Thank you, Christina. Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Ingram. I'm the regional consultant for regions 9, 10, and 11. And I am going to be answering the 2 questions on the slide, which are, what if my LEA is non-compliant in 1 or more areas? Do I need to do anything else? And the answer is yes. We have a process here called corrective action. And so if there are findings of non-compliance, the LEA will need to demonstrate that they have corrected these findings, and corrective actions are issued by us here at the CDE. And so there are 2 levels of corrective action. The first is the student level. And so if you have reviewed a student file and you found areas of non-compliance in that file, you'll need to correct the errors and provide evidence of the correction. The second is the district or LEA level finding. And so in this level, the LEA will be required to provide evidence that it has provided professional development or training to staff to ensure that the areas of non-compliance do not continue. And then once all of your initial corrective actions are completed and submitted to the CDE, additional student records will be sampled and reviewed only in the areas that you were found to be initially non-compliant in. This process is called prong 2, and it is required in federal law. And so we're required to sample additional student records until LEAs can demonstrate 100% compliance. All right, so in order to support you through this process, I just want to recap the training and support that we have available to you. As Christina mentioned earlier, we will have webinars specific to each review activity, the policy and procedure review, the educational benefit review, and in early 2023, we will have the student record review information available to you. In addition, if you have questions, concerns, you want to connect with us, your consultants, we have office hours scheduled every Friday from October 7th through December 2nd from 12 to 1 p.m. And we encourage you to register for these sessions, and our registration link is on the Cyclical Monitoring for Small LEAs webpage. And the link for that webpage is in the Q&A this morning. All right, in addition to those videos and webinars we have prepared for you, just want to encourage you to reach out to your CDE FMTA-S consultant if you need any guidance or have any specific questions to your LEA. Also, please bookmark the CDE Cyclical Monitoring for Small LEAs webpage. We will be updating the content and training opportunities regularly once things become available. And that web address is www.cde.ca.gov/sp/se/qa/cyclicalmonitoring.asp. In addition, we really encourage you to reach out to your SELPA for support in the review activities and any other general support they can provide to you. All right, just a recap for who your support team is here at the CDE. If you're in region 1, 8, or 11, you're going to be working with Patricia Aston. And again, for region 11, she is with the first half of the alphabet for your LEAs. I forget exactly the letters, but it was on a previous slide. Anyway, her email is paston@cde.ca.gov. If you're in regions 9, 10, and 11, LEAs from G to Z, you are with me, Emily Ingram, and my email is eingram@cde.ca.gov. Regions 2, 3, and 4, you are with Carissa Legaska. Her email is clegaska@cde.ca.gov. And regions 5, 6, and 7, last but not least, you are with Christina Tony, and her email is ctony@cde.ca.gov. Once again, our administrator is Carmen Barnhart. If you have questions for her, she can be reached at cbarnhart@cde.ca.gov. And any general questions, of course, you are welcome to send those to the smallmonitoring@cde.ca.gov email. And we encourage you to reach out to us with any questions. All right, so we know that this is a very busy time for you, and this is a new process, a lot of information, but we really do appreciate you taking the time to join us today. I want to assure you that as soon as information becomes available, it will be updated on our website, so be sure to continue to check that website so you are up to date on everything. You will also be receiving an email from us to request information for the individual who's been assigned by your LEA to act as the primary contact for the cyclical monitoring process. This person will work directly with your LEA's assigned consultant here at the CDE and will have log-on privileges to the CDE's Box.com account to access all of the resources, tools, and materials that you'll need to complete the process. And the primary contact will also be responsible for submitting the results of the PPR and the EBR through Box.com. And then for the spring 2023 student record review activity, we will notify you after the December 5th deadline when you can get started on this, and you'll have plenty of time to complete it. So we just want to assure you that this will be given to you, the information about this will be provided to you with plenty of time. And again, please reach out to your regional consultant if you have questions. We're happy to assist you. And we really do appreciate your time here today and all you do for the students of California. And we do really look forward to working with you. So thank you.
I also see that we don't have any more questions in the Q&A for now. We were getting a lot of questions. Some of the questions are tough. Y'all are asking some really great questions. We may need to go back and have the discussion about them. But thank you all so much. And thank you all so much for your kindness. You know, our team is working really hard to try and answer your questions, and we will be flexible and understanding. I know it always feels like CDE has these really difficult timelines and we're not sure if we can do this, but I assure you, we will work with you to help you and make sure that we are identifying the needs of your students. This is about support, not about pain. And so I want you all to know that we're trying to identify LEAs that need additional support and provide that support, not about increasing any pain for folks have. And then I know there's questions about when are we going to receive things. That more of that information is coming, and we will provide more of that. The students list for monitoring, we will be providing very shortly to you all. I know where there's some questions about, wait, we don't have 10 students, what do we do? And please reach out to your consultant when you have those individualized questions about your specific LEA. We do understand that December 5th is fast approaching. And so, you know, we want to be flexible with you. We will continue to address if we get to a certain place where we need to have more discussions about the timeline, we definitely will. But we do believe that in this instance, we think there is enough time. If we find that there isn't, we will do everything that we can to be flexible. And so just be aware that we are working with you, not against you. I know this can feel scary. I know it can feel unsure, but we are here to support the process and to support you. So I think, there are some questions about who would I work with, and when am I going to get the PowerPoint? We will get the PowerPoint out to you very quickly. We did provide you some information about the link on our Smalls website does have the breakdown of who your consultant is and the region. And so that is helpful. So we're getting some people saying thank you. We appreciate you all for taking this time. I know it can feel a little bit difficult. And then the deadline, some people were asking, the deadline was for PPR and EBR is December 5th right now. We're going to continue to monitor that and see how folks are doing. But we do believe that in this instance, I think policies and procedures for a number of folks will be pretty straightforward. And then it's going to be up to 10 students for educational benefit review. And so again, that's up to 10. So if you only have 5 students, it's not going to, you don't have to find 5 students somewhere else. It's up to 10. And so we'll work with you. And if you have specific concerns about like, wait, I only have 5 and only have 2, that's sort of, that, you know, we'll work with you on those individual cases. Let's see here. Thanks for appreciation. We appreciate that. So, and then obviously we'll work with SELPAs to make sure that they have what they need to support LEAs. I did want to kind of reiterate that. I know this can feel very scary for folks, but LEAs should reach out to their SELPAs for support in this space. A lot of them are very familiar with policies and procedures review and very familiar with the review for educational benefit, so they can support you in this process, and we will do everything we can to support them in this process as well. I think,
Shiloh, can I chime in real quickly?
sure.
There are a lot of questions that are circling around a couple related things. So just wanted to reiterate a sequencing of things. This afternoon, we will send a form to selected LEAs. It'll come from the small monitoring email, and it will ask for your LEA name and ask you to basically appoint the lead for this process. So with that, we'll receive those back and we'll be able to set up the Box.com accounts and that kind of thing. And so next week, as long as we have your lead contact information, excuse me, because we need to create email or create accounts within Box.com. So early next week, we will we will get that out to you. And through that, and at that time, you'll be able to access the trainings, the PPR and the EBR documents. That includes forms and any guidance. And so it will all come with the access, to Box.com. So I'm hoping that clears up some of it because people had individual questions about when can I access a Box? When can I access the PPR and EBR materials and that kind of thing? So it's going to be one fell swoop. It's just a matter of us confirming we're setting up the account with the right person that's going to be handling the submissions and that kind of thing. Thank you.
Okay. I think we're getting, that answers a bunch of questions that we have in here, because a lot of people are like, when is this going to happen? Which is a totally understandable way to feel. Yes, the consultants named on the map. We did send you the map for all the FMTA consultants. I think I put that into our Q&A here, but keep in mind, you kind of have to scroll down to see the ones for the small LEAs, right? Because you don't want to, we have large LEAs in those same regions as well. We have FMTA consultants for those LEAs. And so just kind of reach out to the ones for the small LEAs if you're not sure. So here's a wonderful question for the last question of the day. I love this. So do we need to do anything right now? No, you don't need to do anything right now. We will send you some information to get the primary contact so we can set up a Box account for you early next week. And then you will be able to get started and watch the trainings. The trainings will be videos, so you'll be able to access them whenever you need to. Our staff will be here to support you. And then, so you don't have to do anything today. By coming to this webinar, you've done everything that you needed to do. And so you can go have a weekend that is not worrying about this. And then early next week, we'll send you the information. So thank you all so much for your time and energy and your support in this space. And we will continue to be in touch, and our staff here are here to help you and support you. thank you all so much. We appreciate it. I think that's all the questions. I see we've answered almost all of them.
Well, I have one more I can clarify real quick.
Okay.
Sorry. It was asking, could we clarify whether, how many files will be chosen for different activities? So the most immediate is we will be selecting and sending the contact, the box contact, if you will, names for 10 students for the educational benefit review. So for the EBR, there will be 10, up to 10. If you only have 5 students with IEPs, it'll be all 5, that kind of thing. And then for student record review after December, as a spring monitoring activity, there will be 25 or up to 25 student files chosen. So again, if you only have 5 students with IEPs, you would just do all of them. If you had 24 or even 25 students only with IEPs, you would do all of them. However, if you have 40 to 80 to 100, we will only select 25. And there's a process that we will go over with you at that time where you can let us know if the student has disenrolled and that kind of thing. So, and then we'd go back if you had more students, and then we'd pick a validly enrolled student. So I hope that clears that up. The most immediate piece for everyone is going to be 10 student files for the educational benefit review, or up to. Thank you.
Thank you for being here today.
Yeah, and I don't see. Are you really hosting office hours on November 11th? I have a feeling that is Veterans Day. So we will definitely look to reschedule that. Apologies for that. We wanted to get them all ready to go. So thank you. Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time.